You know what these are, don't you? These are one of the best Apple products out there. Now, this is, of course, not an advertisement for Apple products, and they're not sponsoring us, but I really like their products. These are the AirPods. Now, you can tell by the shape of them that they are the AirPod Pro. Ooh, fancy. I got these because of one of the most cool technologies that they added to these. They have a noise canceling feature. They've got another technology where you click on them just right and they will amplify the noise. So if you're sitting somewhere and you want to overhear a conversation, it's probably none of your business, but you can click on that and it'll amplify the conversations going on. But I prefer to use the other side of it, which is the noise canceling side of it. And they're very, very good. I've got some Bose noise canceling headphones that I use when I fly, so that it cancels out the noise of the small plane that I fly. I've got another set of Bose noise canceling headphones that I use when I'm a passenger on an airplane and I don't have a microphone attached to it as the pilot. And they are very, very good, but they're big. These are as good as those. I'm pretty impressed with them. You put them in, click them just right, and whoosh, all the noise you don't want to hear goes away. And if I'm listening to a book or listening to some music or something like that, that's really all I can hear. It selects what I want to hear, and it's quite good. Now, you'd think that if someone were to see me with these on and a book open or something like that, and I'm writing, that they'd walk up and they'd realize that I can't actually hear them, especially because I've told them when I put these in, I can't hear you. Well, we've got some family staying with us for the last few days, and so the number of people in my household quadrupled. And I get up early in the morning and I go down and I have my wonderful morning coffee. I make Chemex coffee and have a great burr grinder that grinds it perfectly. Thank you for that Christmas present, Donnie. And thank you, Drew, for introducing me to the idea of Chemex coffee. It's a wonderful ritual that I have every morning. And I'm alone and I'm in the quiet and I'm writing and I'm thinking and I'm planning, and it's a wonderful, quiet thing. Except that I have a whole bunch of family members staying over with, and they also like to get up early. So I was able to sit down this morning and put my noise-canceling headphones in from Apple, click them just right, whoosh, and it's all quiet. And I was able to spend that time this morning thinking, planning, and writing. And it was very helpful with all the racket going on around me. It was wonderful. When I was finished, click them again, it brings all the noise back in, and I can take them out and enjoy the conversation. It's a really cool technology. Well, you know what? It would be really cool if you and I had the skill to be able to click in our brain and turn off certain noises that are distracting so that we can focus on the things that are the most valuable. This noise-canceling headphones skill set is something that almost every highly effective leader or manager or supervisor, someone who's responsible, like you, for influencing other people, has to master. You and I need to be very, very good at turning down noises that are distracting or even destructive, and turning up noises, influences, inputs that are incredibly valuable. That's the skill that I want to show you a little bit about how to do today. You and I want to be able to have this onboard noise-canceling headphones skill set. It all starts when you and I begin to develop what I like to call the discipline of calm. Build into yourself, and there's a lot of ways to learn how to do this, the ability to be calm and quiet internally in your mind, no matter what's going on around you. That skill set, which you can learn about in all kinds of places, is one of the most basic, fundamental skills that you and I need to have as a leader or an influencer of people. Get calm and stay calm in your mind and in your thought process and even in your body throughout the entire day, so that all of the noises that come your way, some of them generated internally, some of them generated externally, can be managed, and you can use your judgment, and you can make decisions wisely, and you can make them clearly. So what noises should we be able to turn down or off, and how do we actually do that? We live in a time and we live in a space where we have constant noise coming our way. Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, Spotify, Pandora, your email, to say nothing of the voices of people around you who are trying to reach out to you to get you to do something, to change something, to act, to behave in a certain way. It's very important for us to understand that just because we are surrounded by a cacophony of inputs and noises, from news to sports to everything in between, constantly barraging us and vying for the real estate of our attention, does not mean that we should give that our attention. If you can develop that quiet spot in the core of your brain and in the heart of your soul, you'll be able to be a much more effective leader than if you are battered around by those trying to seek and grab and hold your attention. And by the way, they're pros at it. They know how to do it. The very survival of Netflix or of Instagram or of Facebook, or like I like to call it, in your Facebook, or of any of these other platforms, from the Wall Street Journal to Walmart and everything in between, is built upon the simple idea that they have to get your attention and keep your attention until you act. This is a very, very big deal. So you and I need to be able to, first of all, understand that that's the world in which we live, and that a big swath of that world is what a friend of mine has called a fear industrial complex. That means that folks profit when you and I are nervous and stressed out and afraid. Because when we are afraid and when we're stressed out and nervous, we react in a less wise way than when we are calm and not afraid. This is a pretty big deal. Understand, we live in the middle of this sea. It's a byproduct of the culture that we have created. This is a pretty big deal. And it's such a big deal that if you and I are going to put on these psychological noise-canceling headphones, we've got to realize that it is a very hard thing to do. All right, let's show you some things that we have learned over the years in order to be able to function and practice this discipline, this internal noise-canceling headphone discipline. 6 simple ideas. We'll work right through them, okay? Here's the idea number 1. When something's trying to get my attention, I always ask the question, who benefits? If I give them my attention, and that's time, if I give them 7 minutes of my time, or 7 hours of my time, if I give them my time and my focus, and you know the human brain can only focus on one thing at a time, you're doing that right now. You're either focusing on what I'm saying, and this, exactly this, and only this, or your mind just wandered, and because I paused right there, it came back for a second. You and I can only truly focus on one thing at a time. Some of you think you're multitaskers. You're not. You just switch quickly from one thing to another and have a very, very short attention span. Squirrel, right? So when we're going to focus our attention on something, I've developed the skill, and you can too, of asking on a regular basis, who benefits from this? There's a wonderful Latin phrase, a couple of Latin phrases actually. One of them is qui prodest, which means who profits from this? It's a question we always want to ask in any environment. Who profits? Another version of that is cui bono, C-U-I-B-O-N-O. Cui bono, and it means who benefits from this? So who benefits if an app, a social media app, gets my attention and holds my attention for 38 minutes? Do I benefit from that? Or does the social media platform benefit from that? 99% of the time, the social media platform benefits from that, and I do not. In fact, in many cases, I'm worse off if I'm giving them my attention than if I do not give them my attention. I'm not saying don't use social media. I'm not saying abandon it altogether. I'm just saying ask the question, who benefits? Anytime someone or something is vying for your attention and the noise they're using to do that is obvious, ask the question, who benefits when I give them my attention? Identify who benefits from that, and you will have taken the very first and most important step. I ask this question dozens of times a day, and it's a quick question, and it's a quick answer as well. Okay, who benefits from this? The second question I want to ask myself is, if I'm going to give something my attention, if that noise over there has got my attention, I want to know, is it true? If it's not true, it's probably drama. And if it's drama, it's a substitute for significance. So, is it true? If it's not true, I'm not going to give it my attention. The third question I ask is this thing that I'm giving my attention coming from the source? Or is it coming second, third, fourth, fifth hand? Does it feel like gossip? Does it seem like gossip? Is it something somebody reported, that somebody reported, that somebody reported, like that old game of post office, where by the time you get to the end of it, you don't even have the same message? Is it coming from the source? I'll give it my attention, or be more likely to give it my attention, if I or something, someone or something that matters to me benefits from me giving it my attention, and if it's true, and if it's coming from the source. I don't want to waste my time on something that doesn't come from the source. Here's the fourth question. Is this thing I'm giving my attention to admirable? That's maybe not a word you use very often. Is it admirable? You could say it that way. Do I admire the people or the idea or the thrust of the argument? Do I admire it? Or does it make me a little bit worse? Does it make our goals and our teams and our enterprises a little bit worse because we're spending time with it? Do I want to be like that? If I don't, I'm not going to give it my attention. Is it admirable? The fifth question is, does it build or does it tear down? If it builds and it's made it through the other questions, I'm likely going to give it my attention. Here's the sixth one. Does it fit in the larger context? Here's the idea. You need to, if you're going to give yourself your attention to something, zoom out from it and see, does it fit in the larger context? And does it mean the same thing that it's claiming to mean right now when you zoom out and look at it in a larger context? Context really, really matters. Zoom out. How does it fit in the larger context? An example of what I mean by that is the idea of what we call a lonely number. If someone were to give a number to you, and only the number, and it has an emotional impact to it, and you zoom out from that number and look at other numbers around it, then that number might take on a different meaning. 300 people died from the flu. There, that's a lonely number. But what if you were to zoom out from that 300 people who died from the flu and ask for one other number? Over what period of time? Over 12 months. Oh, now that 300 people who died from the flu over 12 months doesn't mean the same thing as 300 people who died from the flu. And it feels like when it was presented to you and got your attention, it feels like 300 people died from the flu today, right now, in the same place, at the same time. That's a pretty big deal, but that's not what that number actually meant. Zoom out, add one more number to it so that first number is not lonely. If you want to get really wise about it, zoom out again and add another number to it. So now you have three numbers. 300 people died from the flu over 12 months. How does that compare for the 12 months before that and the 12 months before that? Now we've added more numbers to it, and that lonely number now takes on a different meaning. It's not that 300 people didn't die from the flu, but compared to and in the context of, now it has a different meaning. You see, when people are trying to get my attention and hold my attention for selfish purposes, they never put numbers in larger contexts. They never do. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now in advertising about sleep. 9 out of 10 Americans don't sleep enough. And here's the solution, get this mattress, right? Well, how many Americans did you talk to? And are they all 250 pounds overweight? Well, let's get some extra numbers to this. Do they stay up late at night drinking coffee? Do 7 out of 10 of them drink coffee before they go to bed? Let's get some other numbers around that. Let's understand the context in which that lives. Because you know, you can't understand anything unless you understand the age in which it lives. So does this thing that's trying to get my attention, does it fit? And how does it fit in a larger context? Because my attention is incredibly valuable. Your attention is very, very valuable. Turn off the noise, and this is one of the ways to do it. So if it doesn't do these things, just turn off the noise. Put on your mental noise canceling headphones. If it doesn't do those things, and do something else. There was an old king way back in the day who was called by many the wisest king that ever lived. And he said, "Watch carefully over your heart with all diligence, because from it flows all the well springs of your life." This is what I'm talking about here. Watch carefully over the noise that comes in and tries to grab your attention and to grab your passions, because most of it actually is just plain noise. Silence, however, which most people are afraid of, is the place where you can actually calmly ponder the most important things of your job as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor. How long has it been since you were actually just quiet? Quiet with yourself, no noise. Did you notice what your mind did? Did it run around looking for something else on Spotify to listen to? Or another YouTube like this one to listen to? Or were you able to sit and begin to work on and recultivate that calm discipline that every effective leader desperately needs? I dare you, as soon as this video is over, turn off every noise around you and sit as long as you can, I'll bet it's only going to be 10 or 15 minutes, in silence, and see what happens. Well, I'm grateful for noise-canceling headphones, and I'm grateful for the discipline to be able to apply noise canceling here as well as here. Hey, I hope you're having a great day. This is a small change you can make that will make a big difference right away. Here's to you.